She wants to be on the call now.
got some notes
She's
on
going to
here
be a
I
little bit late. I know in a minute. Time to call the Orangeburg County School Board of Trustees meeting to order. And at this time, I ask that we pause for a moment of silence. Let's remember all those in our communities that's going through bereavement, sickness, or what have you. Let's keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. At this time, a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we have the Pledge of Allegiance given by our parliamentarian, Reverend Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very kindly. And just before we approve the agenda, I would like to add board chair update just after communication. So if we can add board chair update after communication, we would appreciate it. And at this time, I would approve, at this time, a minutes for the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of tonight's agenda, August 25th, 2020, with the addition of board chair update.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we approve our agenda for tonight, August 25th, 2020, with the addition of board chair update. All in favor? Are there any questions or comments? All in favor, let it be known by a show of hand. Any opposes? Dr. Quinn, are you there?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Ms. Goodwin, are you there? Thank you. Unanimous. Next, we have the approval of our minutes from August 11th.
Madam Chair, I move the approval of the minutes for August the 11th, 2020.
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we approve our minutes from August the 11th, 2020. Are there any other discussion or comments pertaining to the minutes? If not, all in favor, let it be known by a show of hand. Are there any opposes? Thank you. Dr. Quinn?
Yes, in favor.
Thank you. Ms. Goodwin? Still not answering. Okay. Okay, next on our agenda, we have our information item. Superintendent's update, Dr. Foster.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, members of the board. School's back in. It's been some exciting times. You know, we've had the opportunity to get out to our schools and respond to the challenges that we've had. But overall, I think it's going off well. I've had the opportunity to, before I get into how the actual virtual transition has gone, I want to take an opportunity to show the community our wonderful school opening, just a glimpse. We had on last Tuesday an opportunity to put together a virtual school opening. You know, we couldn't gather and have the energy in the crowd, but I think we did a great job of getting people on one page and letting them know that we are one and we're ready, and we're ready to move forward. So if you can, just indulge me for about 2 minutes here. Our wonderful instructional staff and communication department helped put this together. And I want the community to see something and know this caveat. This idea was born on Thursday evening, before that Tuesday. And I say that intentionally because I want folks to see the talent that we have in this school district and what they're able to produce at the drop of a dime. they're able to adjust and be agile and come up with a program that was extremely, I think it was probably the first in the state that was actually done that way that I've seen. So again, I want to thank those individuals and congratulate them for their hard work, but also our MCs were the stars of the evening. Imani, Micah, and Malachi did a wonderful job of guiding us through this, and that's where we are. Children are going to have to guide us through these circumstances. So this time, if you could direct yourself to the screen, and you'll see a snippet of our back-to-school opening.
Welcome to the Orangeburg County School District opening. I'm Imani Dunn, first grader at Rebelline Elementary School, home of the Tigers. I'm Malachi John, fourth grader at Mellowshamp Elementary School, home of the Champions.
I'm Hayward John, sixth grade student at William J. Clark Middle School, home of the Greyhounds.
Hello, teachers and administrators. I am Judah Patrick, a seventh grader at William J. Clark Middle School. I wanted to welcome you back for the 2020-2021 school year.
Now let's welcome our superintendent, Dr. Sean Foster.
Put those virtual hands together as Dr. Foster comes up to the virtual stage. Come on, come on, come on!
Who's going to come and save the day? Well, I'll tell you this one thing. You're who you've been waiting on. You are who you've been waiting on. There's not going to be one single individual, one single group of individuals that's going to come make a difference during these challenging times. There's a skill set, there's a passion, there's a love that is inside of every single educator in this school district that's going to help educate Imani, Malachi, and Micah, and the many other children throughout this school district.
I am Mary Glenn Piccoline. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Communications and Business and Community Partnerships. We are one. We are ready.
Greetings. My name is Ron Scott, Administrator at the illustrious OCSD High School for Health Professions. We are one and we are ready.
I am Desiree Lewis, a second grade teacher at the home of the Tigers, Rebelline Elementary School. We are one and we are ready.
I am Kevin Addison, Transportation Coordinator. We are one and we are ready.
I am Christopher Dykes. I'm the Central Area Maintenance Supervisor. We are one and we are ready.
So again, I can tell you guys, it was a great experience, and as you can see, this is only a glimpse. But being there, even virtually, it gave us a sense of energy, and it allowed me as superintendent to see what we can do. And I'm excited to see what we'll continue to produce throughout the school year. With that being said, Monday was the drop dead date to start back to school. So as I said in the meetings upcoming, leading up to the opening of school, I said that there are going to be some challenges, but there are always challenges. There are circumstances when you open up school in a traditional sense where a kid misses a bus or a schedule is not right. And we've had some of those challenges along the way, but I can tell you overall, I've had a overwhelmingly positive response. Even those parents, and I'm not a Facebook person, but I'm starting to learn Facebook. So, if you're a wise person these days, you need to follow us on Facebook. So I've had the opportunity to eavesdrop on Facebook, and for those who, parents that are out there that are assisting other people in the community, when they're having an issue, those that are responding and said, hey, do this. I said it's going to take this entire community to help this initiative move forward, and you guys are helping. I know there are some things that have occurred with connectivity and those types of things, but that help desk is there to continue to help. It was overloaded on Monday. We still had calls today, but it wasn't as many as Monday, and hopefully tomorrow it won't be as many as Tuesday. But one thing I want to do is inform our parents of a few things. I heard that when we showed up and the teacher wasn't there. That's what I heard a few times. Well, you know, this is a learning process for everybody. I believe some of our parents and teachers may have been in the wrong class. So when you logged in, it wasn't the correct class. So a parent called in and said, the teacher's not there. And they said, well, the teacher's teaching. It just so happened they went to the wrong class. So it's just those small things that'll take us an opportunity to get used to. And once we do, I think everything will go smoothly. We're still working out the hotspot connections in some of those areas that are more challenging. And we have to work through resolutions there, and we'll continue to deploy those hotspots there. But all in all, I follow stuff across this country. I believe our neighbor in North Carolina had a situation where the whole system crashed statewide. And so knock on wood, we hadn't had those opportunities, and we don't want those opportunities. Thank you, North Carolina, for doing that one. So we'll continue on our path here. They had some issues with Zoom, I know, but we chose to use Microsoft Teams. So our teachers, our instructional staff, our technology department, our communications department, our everyone, we're working tirelessly to make this thing as painless and as seamless as possible, even during a challenging time. So again, take an opportunity to say thank you to those folks. Our teachers are doing a wonderful job. If I get one more picture from a principal or a teacher saying, hey, we're doing it, I'm going to start posting those on Facebook so people can see the excitement of our teachers learning something new. I had a retired teacher today tell me, you know what, if I get this down, I may be able to do this a little longer. And I said, we're going to help you get it down. So I sent somebody from the help desk in there to make sure she got it right so we can make sure we keep her around. But want to take an opportunity just to give you guys an update on that, and we'll continue to get better. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but thank this community for encouraging those who may have had a challenge, but also being cheerleaders for our teachers. And I ask you guys to continue to do that. Send a positive message over Facebook to our teachers who are doing something new, who are learning something new, who are teaching in a new phenomenon. Let's grab some pom-poms and let's be cheerleaders behind these people who work so hard to provide a service to our children. So with that being said, I'm going to move to my next presentation, the census. Had an opportunity to join a Zoom call with One Orangeburg last week where we had a very in-depth conversation about the census. And this is something extremely important. I mentioned at our last board meeting just briefly, asking individuals to go on, but I want this community to know that the school district, we're going to do our part. We understand how valuable this information is and the funds that it will bring to this community for the next 10 years. So we're going to do our part and continue to join in and lead if we have to. So nobody knows this now, but we're going to have a campaign district-wide, and I'm going to announce this to our principals tomorrow, unless they're listening right now. But we're going to have a census campaign where we're going to challenge all of our schools to complete the census. You know, the census data helps, again, bring funds to this community that will go directly towards education and to our children. So I ask everyone that if you hadn't already done so, to go to www.my2020census.gov and complete the census there. Now, for our employees, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to announce starting on tomorrow, and if they're listening now, they're going to get a head start. But the first school that reaches 100% of the faculty and staff completing the census and shows proof, and I'm going to show how that will happen here, the close date will be Friday. The first school that reports 100% participation with validation, during lunchtime, I'm going to roll up a grill and we're going to cook for that faculty and staff here from the district office. And just for the community, this is not going to be paid for through community funds. I'm going to fund this myself, so I want to make sure people know that. So the clock's going to start tomorrow, and I may have some help, but we'll put on an apron, and we're going to go and we're going to grill out for that faculty and staff. And I'm going to ask you to do something beyond that. Not only will you complete it yourself, but I'm going to ask our faculty and our staff to encourage one other person to complete the data as well. This is extremely important to this community, so we're going to lead the way. And I've had the opportunity to share this presentation right before the board meeting with Mr. Young at the county, so they can post this presentation. anywhere that they need to post it. But this is going to be our census campaign for the school district. We're going to do our part. Again, it takes an entire community. So our campaign is simple. I'm going to encourage participation. Schools are going to track their completion, and then we're going to have a celebration for the first school to reach 100%. And I just announced what that celebration is going to be. So any other organization out there, we're going to encourage you to do the same, have your campaign so we can get our numbers up. Again, this will impact us for the next 10 years, and it's a direct impact to our children and our community. So I encourage you, if you hadn't done so, go to www.my2020census.gov and complete the census data for the Orangeburg community. So basically, I did mine. So what I'm going to ask the schools to do is, once they complete it, print this out, and that's your validation, and have your teacher or whatever sign it, and just keep it. And that way, I know you're truly counting those numbers. So if you don't and you've already completed the census, then I'm going to trust you. Just say I've already done it. But if you have this form, please do so. But this is what it'll look like, and this is going to be our verification for school principals. So I'm going to, again, bring this forth tomorrow at our principals meeting. And again, we got to make Orangeburg count. Let's make sure we complete that data. Finally, in your packet, we announced last Thursday after an evening meeting with our athletic directors, principals, and coaches that the official opening of volleyball and cross country was beginning, and we were one of the last school districts, if not the last school district, to hold out as long as possible when it comes to athletic conditioning. But now that the official season for volleyball and cross country started, we got with our coaches and our ADs, and we discussed the importance of letting the students go back and compete. As long as it remained a choice, I would never want to be in a circumstance where we had students have to forego a regular season game. And I know that this is not an ideal circumstance, and we are going to have to continue to monitor very stringently the health and safety guidelines. So I wanted to give this community an update, and I know Mr. John has gone around, who oversees athletics, to sit in some parent meetings. We've created a parent virtual course that parents have to take with a quiz outlining the expectations of our parents, but it also allows them to download the waiver forms and all of the other forms to give to their coach moving forward. So the official opening of volleyball and cross country are the only official seasons that are in play right now, and girls tennis, I'm sorry. What we've done is allowed football, that has their season doesn't officially open until September the 8th, but they're participating in what the South Carolina High School League deems as 1.0 and 1.5 conditioning only. So the only opening of the official season is for cross country, volleyball, girls tennis. Football and those other sports are in 1.0 conditioning until the official opening of that season. If there's a change where something happens and the South Carolina High School League does not have that season, then we'll make those adjustments. But I want the community and the coaches and everyone to know that we're going to continue to monitor the health and safety of our students. And if we have to make it a decision where things are not going favorably, then I, as a superintendent, will have to make that decision. But we're going to continue to monitor those things, and we will have teams of people going around to have drop-in inspections to make sure we're following those health and safety guidelines. Additionally, in your packet, you see a sample schedule, practice schedule, but also you see some forms that they have to sign, and all those waiver forms and the trainings that our coaches must attend, they have to sign off stating that they've attended those trainings and they are aware of the health and safety parameters that they must follow. And those forms are going to have to be turned in here to Mr. John for our record. So I trust everybody, but this is a circumstance where we have to verify that everybody is keenly aware of what's expected and that we are adhering to the health and safety of all of our athletes. Our coaches do a great job. Our athletic directors do a great job. And I had to tell them that at this point, nothing's going to trump the health and safety of our students. So everyone's expected to keep that in the forefront of everything that we do. So again, I want to thank you guys for that. And as we try to move through this phase, I think we'll do well if we keep our focus on the process and making sure that we keep the kids health and safety first. So, Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes my report, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions for Dr. Foster? Edwards?
Dr. Foster, on the athletic, is there a return to play for the student also? Or do you just give us a copy of that? This is for the athletic director, coach, and assistant coach. Or
Yes,
they've
ma'am.
done that?
There are some forms for the students as well. In addition to that, we've established before we shut down some guidelines that have to be followed in regards to social distancing, use of water, and all that is covered also in that parent class.
Okay.
That they'll log on to as well.
And so every parent will have to complete that class before their child's allowed to play?
Yes, and sign those forms. And they've been completing them. Mr. Johns back here, he's had an opportunity to sit in some of the parent classes, and we're going to also post the link to the parent class on our website here as well.
And another thing, Madam Chair, if I can, talking about the back to school, I was able to visit the schools last week. I know you said if we could go by and kind of give them a pep talk, so I was able to do that last week to all my schools in my district, and they were just phenomenal. They had everything set up in a way that I think it made it very welcoming to the parents, and I was able to talk to a lot of the parents, and I got a lot of great feedback for Leap Week. So I just wanted to tell you that, because I went to all of them, and all the ones I went to was excellent.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. One other thing I wanted to add to some of my notes as well. We had some situations where some folks showed up and we didn't have a charger for a device or those minor things, or a device wasn't in or is in transition. Those things are being resolved, and we had a situation I know at OW where folks showed up and we ran out of devices. Devices are being transported there. They were being imaged. People just came a little faster than we expected them, so they have those devices en route and continue to image those. And chargers are now in. We had to order some chargers from students who didn't turn theirs in the previous year. So as we encounter those circumstances, we'll make sure we're getting those things and getting that information out to our parents. But we're monitoring and adjusting, and I think at the end of the day, when you hear a report from Dr. Washington here, he's going to give you an update on some numbers that I think we can be proud of, given the second day of school, and we're still deploying high school devices. So want to make sure the community knows that as well, that those devices are being transported and being re-imaged, and those chargers and things are now being placed as they run out. So we're monitoring and adjusting. I want to thank the IT staff and the folks for getting those things out to our schools.
Madam Chair. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Foster, with the law conference this past weekend, South Carolina Law Conference athletics state that although a student may be 18 years old, parents need to sign those waiver forms.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody's going to have to sign that assurance of liability waiver form in addition to that 18-year-old child and the parent as well. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Dr. Quinn? Do you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Goodwin, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to thank Dr. Foster for his update. On Monday, I was in Mr. Ham's office. I was getting a little training myself on how to use my devices. And parents were calling in, students, and he sat there and he explained everything, and I could hear the children back there saying, thank you, sir, we got it now, we got it. So we just want to say thank all of you for what you do. You, hats off to you. This is something new to all of us, and if we just have the patience, and I always hear Dr. Foster talk about having that patience, and sometimes we may not have that, but I just want to say to Mr. Ham and his department, they did an excellent job in explaining to those parents on Monday. If no other questions, we are now ready for a curriculum and instruction update. Dr. Carter Sims.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Foster, thank you for the opportunity for this curriculum update. I'd like to share that, of course, we've heard already about our Leap Week, and it was absolutely a success. The last day for Leap Week was August the 17th for our pre-K through 8th grade, and we are now in our deployment for high school. Our high school deployment began August the 24th and will go through the 28th for, of course, our 9th through 12th graders. And the time for that deployment is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And our first day of school for high school will be the 31st. With so much excitement, I'd like to share with you that our virtual platforms are Microsoft Teams, Seesaw for pre-K through second grade, and Canvas for 9 through 12th. What we want to make sure that all of our stakeholders are aware of, that our teachers are aware of, is that Microsoft Teams is where you will see your teacher, where you will have the opportunity to see your peers, and this is where you will be able to have true live interaction. This is your asynchronous time on, synchronous time on Microsoft Teams. Seesaw and Canvas is where you will find your homework, your assignments, your quizzes, your assessments, your classwork, as well as a video that a teacher may have left for you to view. So again, Microsoft Teams is our interaction. That is just like if we were FaceTiming on our phone or using Skype. We can actually see those faces and hear those voices real time. And then again, our platforms are Seesaw and Canvas, where you can find your schoolwork. What we are extremely proud of is our virtual professional learning. When we say on demand, we really mean on demand. When you heard Dr. Foster say we are the first, we have been the first throughout the state demonstrating what virtual learning looks like with real students. We have been the first in the way that we have put out our back to school opening. And you cannot name a company, even those on the Forbes list, that provide on-demand professional learning support and you actually get to see the person's face that you're talking to. So when we say Orangeburg is first, we are first. You can't call Apple, you can't call Walmart. They're in one place you can call where you can see the face. We are doing that in Orangeburg County School District. So when we say we are one and we are ready, we are ready. Teachers are able to call in and get the support. We set up the time that you see on the screen. However, because of the demand, we adjusted. We started as early as 6 o'clock in the morning to provide support to our teachers because they are doing the work, and if they need the support, we're going to be there. And we've been on the phone until 6 and 7 o'clock at night providing support to teachers. So we are on the move, and we are going to continue this because we've heard from principals face-to-face and from teachers face-to-face and over the phone that this has been tremendous support for them. Next, I'd like to share with you Orangeburg Online. Orangeburg Online is going to be ready to go live very soon. We will be asking families to go and complete the Orangeburg Online survey. Once they complete the survey, they will receive an automatic email reply. We are asking families to complete one application per student. And once completing that application, they are making that decision for a semester to go virtual. When they make that decision again, they are saying, I'd like to make that choice for the semester. Schedules will be provided based on the information that parents put into that survey. And then any questions that they have, they would go to 00@OCSDSC.org. Orangeburg Online will use the same platforms that we are using with our schools. So Canvas and Seesaw will be where they will find their assignments, and the interaction will come through Microsoft Teams. The other thing that we want all of our teachers and our families to be aware of is that when we think about virtual learning, just as we provide support for teachers and go into classrooms to make those observations and provide support, we have that same capability through Microsoft Teams. We can support a teacher elbow to elbow while virtual, just like we can go into a classroom and observe. So we want you to know our principals are aware that they can also observe while teachers are providing that instruction. We have the opportunity to do that in a brick and mortar building, and we also still have that option virtually. We want to remind our parents when we think about the hot spots that if you have not completed the survey is still available on our district page. We want parents to make sure that item 6 and item 8 are answered appropriately, because that is the information that will be used to qualify. And there is one hotspot per family. And finally, because safety is always first, we want our families to know that the hotspots are filtered. We want the families to also know that they can pick up those hotspots once they qualify from the school, and they would receive a call. And then again, it is one hotspot per family. And finally, what we heard Madam Chair speak about is the help desk. Please, if you need us, call the help desk. If it is a technical issue, then we will route it to IT. If it is a curriculum item, then we will route it to the curriculum team. And at that time, that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
The staffing for Orangeburg Online, will those be the teachers that's already in classrooms now, or how are we going to staff Orangeburg Online?
Yes, ma'am. We will be gathering that data, and we will be using our certified Orangeburg County School District teachers.
Okay. Also, it's not up and going yet. So the students that are anticipating becoming a student at Orangeburg Online, in the meantime, what are they doing, or where are they?
They are right now with their teacher in their school.
Okay.
Right. So they're still with their school, and even when they transition to Orangeburg Online, they will still be attached to their school.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question. I'm sitting here and y'all just make me want to jump up out of my chair.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Woo!
Right, that's right.
I mean, you know, I see comments on Facebook, and I also see people in the community reaching out to help those people that may be having difficulties. You know, they just putting it out there. If you need help, get in touch with me. I'll help you. I'll help your child. I have seen people even offer to take other people's kids. If you need me to get your kids and they can sit with my kids during the day, and we'll help each other. I mean, we know we're going to have problems, and we know we got to help each other, and that's what I'm seeing going on in our community right now. Kudos and hats off to our administrative team, Dr. Foster, the parents. I mean, hats off to you all, because you are now becoming teachers. Even grandparents are becoming teachers. You know, we are having to chip in and do what we have to do for our kids, because we're in a situation that we can't do anything about it. So we're going to make the best of the situation that we are in. I truly, truly appreciate everything everybody's doing in Orangeburg County at this time.
Amen. Other questions or comments?
I'd just like to
this
make
Dr.
a
Quinn, I have a
comment.
question about the teaching virtual versus in class, the teachers themselves. Obviously, once we allow children back into school face to face, and you have these virtual classes, they won't. The way I understand it is, the people who have their own teachers now, if they do online, they may not have their own teachers. They may have a district-wide class. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. That is going to allow us, because we're thinking past this situation that we're in and how we can serve ourselves better through this challenge. And so when we think about that leadership piece, At this very moment, we are saving the district funds because we are not having to put somebody in that place. A teacher can do just what was occurring before, what we call distance learning, where I can teach at one school, I can have students at that school in front of me, and then I can have students in another classroom with another teacher, so I can then now say that whatever I offer here, I can offer somewhere else. So again, that is us thinking past what we are having to deal with now so that we can solve some issues or challenges that we may have had that now we don't have to have those challenges.
Okay, I understand that. Now, the teachers will, at that point, either be teaching virtual classes or in classroom, but not both. Is that correct?
So, Dr. Quinn, let me clarify that. That could be a combination of both. It may look extremely fluid given the number of requests that we have. So, for instance, will a teacher be teaching face-to-face and virtual simultaneously? No, sir. In a secondary school, it very well may look like first period, I have my small group of children, but my second period class may be completely virtual. And the schedules will have to coincide.
I'm just referring back to what Molly Spearman said, and you probably talked with her, obviously, face-to-face, and you understand what she meant by what she said, but she said teachers were not going to be expected to teach virtual and in the classroom.
Yes, simultaneously.
Okay.
That's the key, Dr. Quinn, simultaneously. All of our teachers in this regard has taught virtual the first 2 weeks and then would move to some face-to-face. But we wanted them to be trained in both models. So yes, it wouldn't be that they're sitting there and then having to monitor students on a screen and monitor students in a classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments?
I just had a comment,
yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair. I just wanted to piggyback on what Ms. Pelzer said. Being a grandparent and seeing firsthand that everything that you're saying, I've experienced it over the last 2 days. Everything is working fine, just as you say it is. And I really am learning a lot myself. I wanted to call the help desk, but my first grader said, I've got it. I can show you this is how it goes. And I mean, she maneuvered right through Teams, Seesaw, Clever, taking pictures, submitting her assignments, and I was just amazed. So I see that it's working. Again, I celebrate each and every one of you because you've done an outstanding job putting this together.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Our technology. Yes, Dr. Quinn? Ms. Goodwin?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I just wanted to say, out of every bad there comes good. And our children now are being prepared what a lot of our children didn't do until they got to college, so far as emailing and getting assignments. So this transition is really preparing our children for the future, and the best is yet to come. So Dr. Foster and the whole team, I am just overwhelmed and grateful for how you guys are working together. I will just say that parents still be respectful to our teachers because this is first for them as well. I've heard some comments that were said with parents so far as with the teachers, but definitely just be respectful and be patient with everybody. But to the staff, thank you so much. You're greatly appreciated. And to parents, you just don't know how we're preparing our children for the future.
Other comments? Question? Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Dr. Quinn, there is a organization, and the young lady sent me an email, and I will give it to Dr. Foster, and I think it's Bridging the Gap, and they wanted to know how many children signed up for virtual. And I think the two schools that they would like to focus on, Revlon and Mellichamp, I think it is. And I'll get it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have a way of knowing how many sign up for virtual?
We will.
Well, okay. Okay. And another question was, our technology people, facilitators, are they allowed to go into the schools and help train the teachers?
Yes, ma'am. They are. We are trying to, again, as students learn, we're trying to get our teachers into a space where they're comfortable as well. So I've had some teachers who have called and said, listen, I like somebody sitting in front of me and doing it, and a lot of people learn well that way. So our focus this year is to try to have job-embedded professional development, where there's somebody behind the screen, but it's different when you have to actually force yourself to do it. And then you become used to practicing that, because it's different when you're pushing a button and someone's there, when I'm learning through it myself. And the retired teacher that came back to teach today, who sat there with me today at a school and said, I can do this. Someone being there at the on-demand help desk is just like someone sitting beside you. We just got to get folks to do it, and they'll see it's not as scary as I thought it would be. But we're going to continue to support them. And looking at me on the screen, but it helps them say, push this button, and they feel like there's a sense of accomplishment. And we'll give it some time. And I think once we give them time, they'll come around. And I think they already are, even in this short 2-day period. So yes, ma'am.
Dear Ms. Sims, do you have a video of showing our staff how they log in, how they get on the program? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Each school, when Ms. Edwards spoke about how she went from school to school and she saw the same thing, if you were walking down a hallway, you would have heard a PowerPoint that every school received, and you would hear the same thing over and over. It is right now in Canvas for our teachers. The professional development that we shared as early as the retreat, teachers could go online to what we call self-paced. You could do it at your own rate. You could see it over and over and over again. And we also had what we call essentials. So everything that they need is there. But I do agree and understand in regards to what Dr. Foster is saying. Some people need something else, and that's okay, because we have different learners, just like we have different learners in the classroom. So we are affording every option, but we do want teachers to go and do those basics so that when we move to the next level, that they'll have everything that they need to move from one tier to the next as we do this, because of course Orangeburg is not going to stop at tier 1.
Asking if that option was out there available.
Yes, ma'am.
But I see you got it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
thing I want to add to that, because like you said, every school I went in, that same video, every parent got a chance to see it. They worked it in. Every place was like, it was just like you, even though you went in a different building, it was the same thing. And that's what I enjoyed the most, because everybody was getting the same thing, and that makes it very important for everybody to have the same thing. So it was wonderful. So that's exactly what happened.
Thank you.
I also listened to a lot of teachers who were bragging about how their classrooms look. So there was a lot of competition going on in various schools about, how the classrooms were set up. I mean, it's just been amazing. And back to the lesson that my granddaughter was in today, I just watched the kids. They were so excited. They were just raising their hands. They were muting their mic when they were supposed to. And it was just, it was amazing. It was really amazing.
Very good, very good. One other question. What about when the lines are tied up? How do we solve that problem?
Well, that's the problem I can't solve. We're going to expand some additional numbers. Mrs. Sims been on me about getting some additional folks into that loop for responses. My hope is that the numbers decline with the phone calls, but we're going to continue to open up some different phone numbers and getting some additional people on the helpline. So yes, ma'am, that when it's a high volume, you may run into a busy. Just call back and bear with us until we can get around to you.
We want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing Because as I said to Mr. Ham, I said, Mr. Ham, listen, some of them grandmamas might be like me. I haven't been to that training in a long, long time. When we talked about computer training, that was way back in the 70s or the 80s, a little bit that I had. So, I'm just happy to know that they are there to work through those things with them. So hats off to you. Keep up the good work. Next, we have Student Services Update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Board Chair, all board members, Superintendent Dr. Foster, we're happy to present to you the Student Services Department. So we're really excited about that. And someone mentioned earlier about the future of our young people, and that's what we're going to deal with in our Student Services Department. You see our areas here. But our Student Services Department is comprised of a support system that is able to see the future of our young people in becoming strong young leaders by discovering the genius in each one of them. Every one of our children, they all possess something special, so phenomenal that it needs to be developed, it needs to be identified, and our department is going to assist in doing that. Here's our how. To provide support services to the entire school community through a comprehensive system of programs, and this is a big piece, personalized learning and opportunities, that's access, and services that will enhance their development so they can become career, college, and citizenship ready. These are our beliefs. You can't have a how without a belief to complete the how. And if you look at the belief system there, if you think about the word indeed, those 6 dimensions spell out indeed. I is for inclusion. All students are unique and should be treated as such. This is a belief. Nobility. We have to believe that all of our scholars, all of our students, possess high levels of character, principles, and values. Dignity. They all should be treated with dignity and worth because they all have it. Equity. This is huge. All students should have access and opportunity to realize his or her full potential, and it has to be non-discriminatory. Exposure, that's probably something we all can relate to. The ability to be exposed to opportunities that will give our students a preview of who they will be and a plan to get there. Lastly, diversity. Student services should be extended to all diverse student populations. These are our goals. And again, out of our goals will come our action steps. But in our goals, we have a comprehensive program that will ensure cognitive, social, and emotional, along with physical success for all students. We also will conduct all administrative support functions necessary to support the needs of our students, the schools, the district, the community, the state, the federal, and all external educational entities. We talk about that it takes all of us to make our students successful, and this is how we do that in that goal. Third goal, to develop and operate a successful program that is attractive and that will retain students in order to serve their needs and the district needs to continue to attract students to increase that enrollment. Also increasing the graduation rate while assisting students to become career, college, and citizenship ready. Lastly, providing that personalized learning opportunity that will meet their diverse needs, and that'll happen for all our students in the district. These are the various areas, functions of our department: special education, school health services, social, emotional learning and behavioral support, alternative services, school counselors, social services, athletics, homebound instruction. And right now, Dr. Calloway, who's our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, who oversees special education, is going to share a little about the special education program.
The Special Education Department is one division of the Student Service Department. Special Education Department will provide specialized services for students with disabilities. Special education also provides every student with well-rounded, responsive instruction to prepare them for college, career, and community living. Also, goals of special education is to provide students and all teachers, service providers, and strategies to meet the needs of all our students with disabilities. Also, in the special education department, we have the psychological services. The psychological service will be provided in our special ed department. This department will help with reevaluations, evaluations, and counseling services for our students with disabilities or our general education students.
Thank you, Dr. Calloway. Other divisions, we're going to begin with nursing services. You'll hear more from our coordinator, Nurse Patty, shortly, but her area of responsibility will be to support all school nurses in our county, and this is their description of services. School health services supports the school system in coordinating efforts to ensure health and wellness of our students, faculty, and staff. The lead nurse serves as the liaison for state health services, compliance regulations, and policies, and you'll see the various responsibilities listed there. Social emotional learning and behavioral support, and we know this is probably one of the heartbeats of what's happening with our young people now, and this is going to be huge for us. Provides behavioral support to schools and students in order to ensure all students learn in environments that are academically, socially, and emotionally safe and personalized. You keep seeing that word over and over again, to meet their individual needs. And so you see the responsibilities there that are listed for us. Alternative services provide short-term intervention programs that offer a structured learning environment designed to address the academic and social needs of students in need of alternative placement. So alternative doesn't always mean corrective action. It also means an opportunity to discover that genius of all of our students. And we see the various programs listed there, led by great leaders. School counselors. Every school has school counselors, and they provide academic guidance to students and school support to promote an environment to encourage personal inquiry. Again, that's that discovery piece, and growth, social responsibility, and academic excellence. And there are guidelines by the state and the national guidelines that assist us in that effort to train and support our counselors, and they meet monthly to facilitate that experience for our students. Social services provide services related to students' social, emotional, and life adjustment to school and or society. Provide staff with essential information to better understand the factors such as cultural, societal, economical, familial, health, and etc. All those areas that affect students' behavior. If we can't affect those areas, our students will be difficult for them to learn. And so it's an all-in approach to address the whole child. That's social services. And you see the areas there that are functioning in our schools. Athletics. I think everyone can present on that. We just heard information from that earlier. But one thing about the athletics piece is our area to develop the person and the player. And here's how we do that: to inspire, educate, and empower our student athletes to become young leaders in and out of the classroom through programs that will develop them both physically and socially. And our athletic directors have been already informed of our beliefs in that area, and they're already functioning in that aspect. Lastly, homebound instruction provides that medical homebound services to students who have an acute or chronic medical condition that provides him or her or prevents him or her from attending classes at school. And again, these are areas that we have to abide by even according to the state, and those areas also function well in our schools. One child, one chance. You've been hearing that a lot through our student services department. Student services support students with systems, strategies, and sustainable practices to develop strong young leaders. Every child deserves a chance, and that's our opportunity to do that through discovering their genius through the student services department. At this time, in our student services department is our Nurse Patty Paget, who's coordinator of school health initiatives, who's going to share our COVID update at this time.
Madam Board Chair, Board Trustees, Dr. Foster, thank you for having me tonight. The Centers for Disease Control and the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control have released guides for school nurses and schools to use in response to COVID-19 with employees and students. The charts you see before you tonight is an algorithm that will take our school nurses and administrators through the process of how they should respond through isolation or quarantine of students and of employees. A positive COVID-19 test is reportable to DHEC, and so our school nurses and administrators will be reporting those cases to DHEC, and DHEC in turn will report positive cases they receive to our school nurses and our administrators. In the event that a student or an employee tests positive for COVID-19, they will be required to isolate at home for a minimum of 10 days. They must meet the criteria to return to school, which is 10 days from the onset of symptoms, 24 hours since fever without the use of fever-reducing medications, and all symptoms have improved. School nurses and administrators will work with teachers to identify any close contacts that may have occurred within the school day. We also have guides for response to suspected COVID cases. In the event that a student or staff member were to exhibit signs or symptoms of COVID during the school day, they would be isolated, parent would be contacted, and they would be sent home. They would be encouraged to speak with their primary care provider for guidance and testing. Once we received a positive test result, then of course that student will go into the 10-day isolation at home as well. In the event that someone at home tests positive, a student or an employee would then need to quarantine for 14 days after that person has ended their isolation. Gets a little confusing sometimes, but if there is prolonged exposure in the home, then the person that is positive has to complete the 10-day isolation, and students would then have to quarantine an additional 14 days. Okay? And then in the event they've had close contact with someone outside of the home, the quarantine period is 14 days from the last contact. And in the event someone in the home has been a close contact, the students would be allowed to continue to report to school once we get back to face-to-face instruction. This chart takes you through the same scenarios for an employee. The difference here would be the employee's requirement to report to their supervisor and school nurse of their positive COVID test or their COVID-type symptoms. School nurses and administrators will work with employees to help determine when they can safely end isolation and return to school. Again, COVID-19 is a reportable condition to DHEC, and we will be making those reports on students and employees. That information is held confidential, and we will follow those DHEC and CDC guidelines. Here's another algorithm that just helps school nurses make an assessment of the situation at school. So we would need to have some considerations on whether the student is a car rider, bus rider, if we were able to maintain that 6 feet of distancing within the classroom, and all those factors will be taken into consideration when we look at close contacts. What we want our families to know, what we want our community to know, is those guidelines and those best practices for wearing a face covering, maintaining a distance of 6 feet, limiting encounters to 15 minutes or less are really important. So we'd like for you to continue that at home and in your communities as well.
Madam Chair, if I could interject here, and before I turn it back over to Mr. John, I want to thank Nurse Paget. We're trying to think of every single thing possible to, again, train our administrators, inform our teachers, inform our parents. So she'll be going over this at our principals meeting as well, so that our principals are able to go back to their schools and inform their teachers. But this wasn't something that she just got off the internet. She was on the task force to help create this, that this is going to be used outside of Orangeburg County. So I want to thank her for her commitment. Again, we have some outstanding, talented people here, and I think this process makes it clear and may answer many of the questions that teachers or community members may have in in regards to exposure during these challenging times. So I just want to take an opportunity to thank her for her feedback and her involvement in this process as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now for our virtual learning and special education by Dr. Calloway.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Board of Trustees. It has been very busy in the Special Education Department with preparing and providing virtual support and services. Orangeburg County School District is proud to offer a full continuum of special education services and programs to all students eligible for such services in a virtual or face-to-face model. What we have developed in our department was an action plan to ensure that all necessary areas were addressed in the department. And if you look, these are our action steps: ensure training for virtual platforms, ensure teachers have the necessary supplies and materials, develop schedules for supports and services, ensure that every student has a 2020-21 IEP. Additional action steps that we have, and we're completed those action steps there, but additional action steps are: we define roles and responsibilities of instructional assistants in virtual environments. We participated in virtual professional development trainings, and also parents receive a letter of virtual therapy to let them know what kind of services their students will be provided. Additional action steps that we're continuing to meet and to perform: teachers will develop a documentation of special education services based on instructional models. Teachers will develop accommodations, behavior intervention plans for general education teachers. And these action steps will be completed by Friday, August 28th. Activities in the special education department: as I indicated, we have been very, very busy. These listed are meetings that were held in the special education department. OT and PTs have the opportunities. They had 3 opportunities to meet and to be provided with information and support. Teachers and service providers participated in several professional development trainings. So our trainings began August 13th, and they're not finished, but we had so many that we participated in. There will, according to how we're going to assess our teachers, there will be continual review of assessments of our action steps in the special education department. We're going to make certain that all our teachers, service providers, and teacher assistants are provided with the necessary support and services. This concludes the presentation. Are there any questions? Okay, we do have students who are hearing impaired, and these services are provided by our hearing impaired teachers. And a lot of our students, they have the FM systems, and they also have other devices that are plugged into their devices, their laptops, their Chromebooks, or iPads. So they're able to get instruction through that device. Yes. No, ma'am. Yes. No, we're not sending anyone to the home, so it'll be virtual also.
We are number one.
We are number one.
We are number one.
Ready.
We are ready.
Yes.
We are ready.
We're ready. Any additional questions?
Yes. Dr. Calloway, with the online Orangeburg, if we have students who are indeed homebound or receiving home services, is that fluid so that they can go from one platform to the other without interruption?
Very fluid, very fluid. If they are on homebound, of course, we would notify the teachers with the homebound medical form, and those teachers, and that's a perfect model for those students. If they're home, they could receive those virtual services. Yes.
Okay. Now, one other question. How are we maintaining, with FERPA, how are we maintaining the virtual records of instruction for those students?
Okay, how we're maintaining records, we have our IEPs, and those IEPs are developed to make certain that it's indicated that we're providing virtual services. And also we have our laws that we keep in an enriched system, a platform system, to indicate that the services that we're providing. And then we're making certain that everything is kept secret as much as possible, confidential.
Okay, and then one other question, and I'm going to be quiet. What does OT and PT look like virtually?
Oh, okay. What we indicated, the service that they will provide will be like telehealth. And those, they're just like classroom teachers, but they are service providers. So they will provide those different strategies or activities to students virtually. They can do.
And they may be outside.
Yes, and also we will provide them, the ones who have requested documental cameras, those cameras, they'll be able to use those cameras to provide instruction.
And it must be confidential.
Must be confidential. And a lot of our OTs and PTs have already expressed that they will provide one-on-one assistance to students. So therefore, it would just be the service provider and the student. So we're adhering to FERPA and HIPAA.
We are number one.
Yes, we're number one.
Other questions or comments? Dr. Quinn?
Yes, and I have a question, but it backs up to the outline that the nurse gave us, and it may be more of a question toward Dr. Foster. The question is, since we will probably have some teachers who will either test positive or will be close contacts of somebody with COVID-19, are these teachers who are just quarantined and not ill, are they going to be able to teach from home?
In the event that a teacher is quarantined and has the capabilities and is not under health restrictions, that may be something that we have to allow teachers to do, that to continue to deliver instruction to our teachers. Yes, sir. That would be an extenuating circumstance.
Question. I think you're looking at the same thing I am, that, you know, the numbers could go up and then you're left with no teachers.
Yes, sir. We'll monitor and adjust in that regard, but if that's the situation and there's a justifiable reason that they're under quarantine but able to teach, then we'll have to make those adjustments on an individual basis.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Ms. Betty?
Dr. Calloway, for our MAPS counselor, will they be providing services the same way as everybody else in your department? I know it can be virtual, but how do they do for their kids?
Yes, they are planning to provide services for students, and it will be a virtual model.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Pelzer?
That was my question as well.
And
Thank
they
you,
are.
Mary.
They have already began.
Okay,
so
good.
We're working on
But
that.
I have another one. Let's say, for example, Betty Pelzer, for whatever reason, before we get into face-to-face, is not able to do what she needs to do. What is in place for students like that? How are we tracking our students? And I had another question. Do we have enough psychologists for all of our students? I mean, you know, I know you don't have one-on-one, but now we're a whole district. So, you know, I was just wondering, did we have enough psychologists to handle our caseload?
We do have school psychologists. We have 4.
Okay.
However, we always have our wish list.
Okay.
So we do have 4, and they're working very hard, okay?
Okay, so let me ask this question. Based on our numbers, how many should we have?
Well, there's not really a number per school psychologist.
Okay.
However, as a school district, according to the number of schools that we have, we tried as much as possible to divide the even divide between the current school psychologists that we have.
Okay. So back to the other question: how are we tracking to make our children? Because sometimes kids get lost in all of this. And then somebody realized maybe 2 weeks from now, this child has never logged in. So how are we keeping up with these kids?
So, Ms. President, our teachers are, whenever a child does not log in, they can tell if a child hasn't logged in or not. So as time goes on, if there's a student that, even not as time goes on, actually now,
Okay.
if there's students who hadn't registered, our schools are calling those individuals
Okay.
saying you hadn't registered, or
Okay.
you registered but you hadn't picked up your device.
Gotcha.
So schools are making those personal contacts, and teachers are making sure that they're tracking that information at their individual school sites.
Okay, thank you.
And then just to share it also, attendance is taken by each teacher. And then also we require teachers to have contact logs. And so that's a way to track it also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Comments? Not, thank you very kindly for your update. Next, we have operations update. Mr. Grant.
Madam Chair, board members, we want to give you just a brief update in regards to some of the things that you learned about in the last 2 weeks with our back to school road back to school manual. We just wanted to update you on 3 areas, which is health and safety protocols, our transportation, and our meal service. And I brought a few props today to help with our PPE, or personal protective equipment, and things that we're using with our schools. Just to let you know, we have delivered all of the face shields for staff to all of our schools. We've delivered 50,000 disposable masks. We've got another 50,000 that we've ordered that will be here soon. We've delivered those sneeze guards. We have some of our electrostatic sprayers that will make cleaning a much quicker process. Those have been delivered to some locations that we use during the Leap Week, and we're going to make sure that everybody has what they need. And then we want you to know that our orders for our signage were completed. We've received almost all of our signage, our floor signs, posters, and all of that came in today. We've got 2 more that are yet, 2 more of the signs that are yet to come, and we'll get those out to the schools. We hope on Friday we'll get all of those delivered so they can start putting those floor signs and all of the posters up. And things like sanitizer and all of those, we've been guaranteed our delivery by the end of the month. Our hand sanitizer, we were guaranteed that it would be 6 weeks maximum. Today was the 6th week. And so we called the rep today, and he is working to get our hand sanitizer here so that we can get those installed. Just wanted to show you, this is our game changer. This is the electrostatic backpack sprayer that our custodial staff will be able to use, and you can see how large the container is for the disinfectant that they'll be able to put in there. This will allow them to spray down tens of thousands of square feet in a very, very short time to disinfect without having to go through and wipe every surface, and allow us to do things like in between class changes or after an assembly or after a lunch group, all those different things. This will allow them to do things quickly. We have these. We got 15 of them today. I got a call last Thursday that a rep had 60 of them in stock. We called him. We ordered 15. He brought them in today. We're going to get these out to our largest facilities, and then we have some other ones that we'll give out that are handheld or a little bit smaller to some of our smaller schools. So like all of our high schools will receive these, our larger middle and elementary schools will receive these. As an update on our transportation, you all are all aware that today our transportation on Monday began delivering meals at lunchtime. One thing that we are asking all of our families in Orangeburg County to do is to complete the transportation survey that is posted to the district website. Whether you are going to be in online learning, whether you're going to be face-to-face and you don't need transportation, or face-to-face and you do, we'd like to hear from every single family so that we can begin making our plans and building our routes and knowing that we can get all of that set as quickly as possible. That survey is set to remain open until September 4th, but we are asking all of our families to complete that survey. Our principals are getting that information out for us. Our public relations department is continuing to put that message out as well. Our meal survey, we continue to do a weekly meal survey, and that is just to help us get kind of a baseline of what we need to prepare and if we're going to be delivering or how much is going to be picked up in the schools. We are doing our second week of the survey because it will be information that we'll use beginning next week, and it was helpful in getting our cafeteria staffs ready to know what to expect at their schools. We had good reports the last 2 days for meal service via the buses. Of course, everything is not going to be 100% perfect, but we have provided all of our information, contact numbers for folks to be able to call either the transportation office or our food service office if there are any issues so that we can try to rectify those with our families. as we did in the spring, we're back into that groove, and we get better, and families start to know, okay, my bus is going to arrive at, it's going to be between 10:30 and 1, but they'll start to get that into that regular groove of, all right, I need to be outside at 11:45 because that's when my bus. We're starting to get back into those patterns now, so that our families are much more able to continue with their day without having to wait for a long period of time. But, a huge thank you to our transportation and food service departments for all the work that they've done to make sure that this is going as well as it can. And again, just everything we do, we continue to use this calendar. We're looking forward to hopefully having students on September 14th. That's why we continue to get all of the things ready for them to be here on the 14th. And, we hope that will still be able to work out. Are there any questions at this time in regards to anything I've shared this evening?
Dr. Brunson?
Mr. Grant, have our bus drivers been given the appropriate PPE that they need?
Yes.
Just clear that up. There's some questions out there about that. And so if you can just speak to that briefly, I would appreciate it.
All of our bus drivers have been provided masks, and they were all provided, we have their face shields as well if they want to do that or both. Now, one thing that they may not have is they may not have all of the gloves that some of them may want. I talked to a distributor today, actually the same person who provided these, and he said he has them in his warehouse. We've not been able to order them, but he said he has gloves in his warehouse, and our plan is to order, I think it's 300 cases, and each box has 50 in it, so I think it was going to be somewhere around 30,000 pairs of gloves, so that we'd be able to get those out to all of our folks. I've not been made aware of anyone that doesn't have what they need. We'll provide it if they need it. You're welcome.
Other questions? If not, there's a very good article, Mr. Grant, in the NEA today, and it talks about custodians are the first line of defense against the virus. Very good article. So you may see my book if you would like to.
Absolutely. We appreciate that, and we know that the service that they provide our schools is invaluable.
Yes. Okay, if there are no other questions.
This is Dr. Quinn. I have a statement, actually, sort of a question.
Yes,
if I
sir.
could. I noticed that Mr. Grant said that they had ordered some face shields if they wanted to wear those. Isn't CDC saying that you should actually wear both, that face shields do not give as much protection for the people around them as masks do? So shouldn't we encourage people to, if they want to wear the face shields to protect their eyes, they still should wear a mask?
Yes, sir. In the protocols that we sent out, we noted that CDC best recommendations are that they wear both a mask and a shield.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify sort of what you had said, because it sounded like that you said that sort of, you didn't say either, but that's kind of what impression that I got.
Any other questions or comments? Not. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Financial update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Foster. We would like to give you a quick update on topics as it relates to the Finance Department. We'll begin with the National Board certifications. For the 2021 fiscal school year, we have 28 certified teachers that qualify for the National Board certification supplements. The supplements will be evenly distributed throughout the remainder of this school year. In the past, the supplement was issued at the beginning of the year as a separate check, and there are a couple reasons why we needed to make this change. One is this will benefit our teachers because to comply with federal tax laws and regulations, if we were to process this supplement as a separate payroll check, each employee would be taxed at a flat rate of 22%, which is much higher than they're normally subjected to. Another reason is if the employee decides to leave the district or if they're promoted to another position that doesn't qualify for that supplement, we would have a hard time recovering those funds. All right, the next topic is teacher supply checks. Supply checks have been issued to teachers in the amount of $275 with the certification letter to be signed and sent back to the finance department by the teachers. This year we had a total of 838 checks that were issued, and teachers were notified to maintain receipts for potential auditing purposes. This concludes our update from the finance department. Are there any questions, concerns?
Receipts for their purpose?
Well, we have.
Oh, you gotta have them too?
No, they can maintain them, but we can randomly select teachers to audit their receipts.
Oh.
And that's on the certification letter that they signed.
Accountability.
Okay, other questions?
Any questions?
Dr. Quinn,
I have a
question?
question.
Yes, sir.
In one of your updates, could you update us as to how the budget information for each individual school was given out and what sort of money that they got? Because I understand that there's some maybe some shortfalls this year as compared to last year and even in years past. So maybe could you bring us that information back as to what the individual schools are getting?
Yes, sir. We can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right. If not, we'll next we have Assistant to the Superintendent update, Dr. Washington.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Foster. I'm going to jump on the good news that Andres Carter Sims shared earlier. In your packet, you have a student registration and device pickup, just a one-pager with some information. At this time, we have 11,104 students that have registered for school. We have had 7,932 devices that have been picked up as of today, and we have deployed right at 745 hotspots to families that needed them for the virtual learning. In your packet, you also have it broken out by individual schools, registration, and device pickup.
If I could add something as well, that 7,900 devices picked up, I want the community to keep in mind that we've just started device pickup for high schools. So we hadn't even completed that process. So we're we're out the gate pretty good, given the fact that we've just started the pickup for high schools this week. So we hope to close that gap. I also want to make a mention about the hotspots. The hotspots were given to us by the State Department. If you're experiencing an issue with the hotspot, please contact our technology department so we can make sure that it's not a connectivity issue in your area, or if it's a connectivity issue between how to link the two devices. Those things happen, and just continue to reach out to those individuals. But we have hotspots, and as we continue to qualify individuals, we'll continue to get additional hotspots out to those folks who need them. We understand that some areas, even with the hotspot, we're finding that there's just simply no connectivity unless you go to a space where there is able to have connectivity. So I had a meeting yesterday, and I have a heat map of this county and where we have access and no access. So I'm continuing to work and plan to take that information, and I'll bring the information forward to the board as well to see how we can continue to close the gap with just simple access. So again, we're trying to turn over every single stone we can possibly turn over to make sure we close the gap to access when it comes to broadband. So just wanted to make sure that I brought that to the board's and the community's attention.
Of our total student enrollment, this 11,104 is? I was just kind of wondering how many students we have out there that have not. Yes.
For a parent to get the hotspot, is there an income guideline that they must have a certain income to qualify?
There's a qualifying income. I think it's 250% below the poverty level. And there's a calculation there. I believe that's there, but they have to answer questions 6 and 8. And that'll help us determine that.
Thank you.
250% below poverty?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another question? Oh,
Yes, Madam
Ms.
Chair.
Alma?
Earlier, we talked about attendance and making the calls to make sure our students are in school. And with the count we have here, let's suppose we do not get a student or students after the 10-day. So what do we do then?
We're going to go to some houses.
Okay, knock on some doors.
And knock on some doors.
Okay.
Other questions? If not, we will have communications report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and our superintendent, Dr. Foster. I am Mary Glenn Piccolino, and I am delighted to be here. This is just my 7th day here. So officially a week, but I have enjoyed getting to know my colleagues and meeting each of you in person tonight, and I look forward to continuing to build on the momentum. I'm really excited to be here. I believe in what you all stand for and what you're working towards. Believe in transformational leadership, and I know that communications will help propel us forward. And so I'm just very excited for what is ahead of us all. So Dr. Foster asked that I give an update on the website. Again, this is just my 7th day here, but the website is extremely important. I know that that's been an area of focus for the school board and certainly for our administration as well. I do have a lot of experience with websites. In the previous district where I worked, we rebranded in 2016 and built 42 websites. We set a very aggressive timeline, and it is a heavy lift for any school district, and I'm very happy to see that we are moving forward with putting active information on our website. You may have noticed within the past week that we moved from a landing page to a more robust website. And I want to just share that I am committed to being sure that we have a user-friendly website with informative, up-to-date information that we're able to update as rapidly as the situations within our schools, district, and community require us to do. It is going to be extremely important that we continue to tell the community about us. So that was one of the first pages that have gone live on our website. Truthfully, with COVID and with Orangeburg online and distance learning, and who knows what's going to happen with the coronavirus cases in this community, our website must be the go-to place for information. We must not only share updates from curriculum and instruction and what we're doing to keep our schools safe and the taxpayers' money well accounted for and being good stewards, but we also must show our parents it may be the only window into their students' school this school year. Visitation is going to be limited, and I appreciate the emphasis that the school board and administration is placing on that platform, and I assure you that we are going to get it done. So some of the things that we have updated recently, Dr. Foster mentioned and showed a small clip of the back to school. It was a wonderful event for this school district, and I'm so proud that we were not only able to share that with our teachers as they came back on the first day, but also we drafted a press release and shared it with the community as well as our local media partners and included the link for that as well. But we also now have a platform to put it on our website. So not only our teachers and staff members were able to see that, but our students and their parents and guardians and grandparents are able to also hear from a wide range of employees that we are one and we are ready. Again, back to the immediate needs of being able to update our community rapidly. I love social media, but I will tell you our website must be the first source for information. and the ability to alert parents to needs such as our transportation information, the Orangeburg online application that's going to go live this week. We do plan to send out a phone call message to all parents, but the website must be available and ready as the source. We can only provide so many details in a robocall, and so our website must be the place that we send families. You'll see on the website now a couple of our departments and divisions. We have fleshed out some of their pages, told just a little bit about what they do. Operations, it's very difficult to capture all that Mr. Grant does, but certainly we tried, but also a list of his staff members and departments and their contact information. You'll see the same on the website for human resources. And so you will also see on there that there are some things we still need to work on. So I will say that. There are some broken links. There are still some pages that need to be developed. And we still do have a long way to go. So I do want to acknowledge that, but I also want to tell you that I am committed to getting that done. I value that as a platform for parents and understand how important it is all the time, but especially at this difficult time that each of us are facing to continue educating our children and engage our community and parents through our website. And I will end with one of my favorite quotes from John Lewis. And while he was talking to reporters and talking about communication when he said these words, but because communications and community engagement is my field, his words have led me throughout my career. I admire him, and I believe it's important, and I see that in my colleagues here, that we're being a headlight and not a taillight. We're leading the way in education in Orangeburg County. I'm extremely proud to be part of it. I look forward to shining a very bright light on everything that we all are doing here. And I promise you that we are going to push and pull and be courageous until we get the website up and ready and something that is exceptional, because you all deserve it. Our teachers deserve it. Our students and parents and guardians do as well. And so I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to share. And I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you.
Are there questions? No? Thank you very kindly. I have one other question. I want to go back to the hotspot because I had this person to call me, and I saw her at a funeral a couple of days ago. But what is the turnaround time for parents to get hotspots? I think she said her son was having the MAP test, and she had to do some stuff on her cell phone for him, and she didn't know how long that was going to hold out for him to do his MAP test.
Well, as they complete the survey, Mr. Ham is responding to those immediately, and then trying to turn those around and get them to schools as quickly as possible. So it could be next day or even sometimes the same day as soon as we respond to those survey requests. And many of them are already there, and they're receiving, if I'm correct, Mrs. Piccolino, an automated email in some instances for those?
They are. So on the days that we have a deployment, Mr. Ham and his staff are standing by in the event that someone qualifies right there. If someone comes up and needs a hotspot, our school staff can assist them in completing the survey and reach out to Mr. Ham for an immediate answer on their qualification.
Okay, thank you.
And we are working as quickly as possible to get the hotspots. There's a 48-hour activation period required. And also the technology staff is committed to also making sure that those devices are filtered. And so our students and families aren't discovering something that wouldn't be appropriate for them online as they use those devices.
Thank you very kindly. Okay. The board chair update. As you're aware, in December, we supposed to have our delegate assembly, and we need 2 persons to be delegates. And we need to get those names tonight so we can send this back to the School Board Association. And the deadline is September the 25th, but I just would prefer we go ahead on and get those persons tonight so we can mail this back in. It's already been signed by the superintendent and board chair. So we just need the names to put on the form. Would like to serve as a delegate. We have 4 votes.
Is it for again, Madam Chair?
Ma'am?
What is it for again?
This is for the delegate assembly that we go to in December, when we vote for officers
Oh, yeah.
and.
I got you.
Who said
Gonna be
Friday,
virtual?
Huh?
Is it gonna be virtual?
Well, right now, I'm assuming they did not say. Ms. Mary, can you update us?
Yes. It will be virtual. It's going to be held at the Columbia Convention Center, and it will be virtual.
Okay. Because it's usually in Hilton Head when we attend. But at the Columbia.
Charleston.
Charleston, yeah. Columbia Convention Center, you said?
Columbia Convention Center.
Okay. So we just need 2 persons, and we have to send this back in for them to be certified.
Say it again.
December 4th. Friday, December 4th. So do we have 2 people that want to volunteer, or?
Madam Chair, I'll volunteer.
Okay. Miss Marie, got Reverend Brown. All right, do we have another volunteer?
Oh, you already gone, so I'll volunteer.
All right, Miss Idella. And also we need an alternate in case
That's right.
Reverend Brown or Miss Carson is not available. Do we have an alternate?
I'll be there, but
You'll be an alternate?
I'll do it.
Alternate? Okay, Miss Marie, you have those? Okay, and this is the form you need to put their names on, Miss Marie. It's already been signed. Thank you very kindly. All right, if there's nothing else for your open session, we will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss personnel recommendation, contractual matters, financial matters, and discussion of personnel matters.
Second.
It is moved and properly second that we go into executive session for personnel recommendations, contractual matters, financial matters, discussion of personnel matters. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by a show of hand. Any opposers? Dr. Quinn?
I'm in favor.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay. Unanimous. We go into executive session.
Open session.
Second. Been moved and properly second that we return to open session. All in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Are there any opposes? Dr. Quinn, are you there? Okay, unanimous. At this time, I will entertain any action coming out of executive session. A motion.
Madam Chair, I move the approval of recommendation for personnel employment, reassignment, separation, and administrative employment.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation for personnel employment, separation, and administrator employment. Are there any questions or comments? Questions or comments? All in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Any opposes? Dr. Quinn?
I'm in favor.
Unanimous. Thank you. At this time, are there any announcements?
Yes, I have one, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I can find it. Find it here. The Samaritan House of Orangeburg, ribbon cutting and opening Monday, August 31st, 10 a.m. And it's an invitation for the superintendent and the board.
August 31st?
Yes, 10 o'clock a.m. The Samaritan House of Orangeburg, ribbon cutting and opening.
What's the address?
1580 Middleton Street.
Thank
1580 Middleton Street.
Okay.
And that's August 31st, what time? 10 o'clock. I got this a few minutes ago. We went to executive session.
Okay.
10 a.m.
Any other announcements?
Maria.
Our next board meeting will be September 8th, 2020, here at Founders Court. Founders Court, September 8th. Any other announcements? Not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I move that we adjourn at this time.
Second.
Moved and properly second that we adjourn this meeting at, what is that, 9:28? All in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Any opposes? Thank you very kindly. We had a very good meeting. Make sure you drive careful going home. Thank you.